Have you ever looked at someone else's life and felt like everything you have just isn't enough? This is the story of a young woman who discovered that comparison is the greatest thief of joy. In a sunlit town where the scent of warm bread drifted through narrow alleys and doves perched on clay rooftops, there lived a young woman named Sara. Sara was an artist, a woodcarver who could breathe life into the simplest piece of timber. Yet every morning, as she stepped out of her small workshop and gazed at the grand shops of famous artisans, an emptiness filled her heart. A voice inside her whispered, "Look, everyone else is so much better than you." That voice stole her peace every single night. Sara had always dreamed of creating something magnificent, something so remarkable that people would travel from faraway villages just to see it. But no matter how hard she worked, her creations were always small: a bird, a leaf, a wooden horse. In her heart, she would sigh, "What good are these when people crave grand things?" One evening, as the sky draped itself in an orange shawl over the hills, Sara decided to give up on her newest carving. A tiny wooden sparrow rested on the table, its delicate wings half open as if it were about to fly. Sara took a slow breath, reached for a cloth, and gently covered it. She couldn't bear to look at it anymore. Just then, a cool breeze slipped through the window, swaying the curtain, and a small, wonder-filled voice floated in. "May I see it?" Sara hesitated. She didn't recognize the voice, but when she opened the door, a little girl stood there, taking careful steps forward. Her eyes were so bright, they seemed to light up the entire workshop. Sara murmured shyly, "It's just a simple sparrow, nothing special." But the little girl smiled, a smile so warm that it softened Sara's heart. "But it looks like it could fly away any moment." For the first time in years, every voice telling her you're not enough grew silent. It was just her, this small sparrow, and the gaze of a child who saw a miracle in something humble. That night, Sara couldn't sleep. She sat by her workbench, lit a tiny candle, and looked at the sparrow. She ran her fingertips over the carved lines and realized that every groove held the memory of years of struggle, hope, and quiet love. The next morning, she wrapped the sparrow in a soft cloth. Her hands were trembling as she walked to the little girl's house. She knocked gently on the door. When the girl's mother answered, Sara spoke with a voice full of respect. "I'd like to give this to your daughter because she reminded me what art truly means." The little girl appeared. When she took the sparrow into her hands, her eyes filled with tears. "You know, I always wished I had a bird of my own. Now it feels like one of my dreams has come true." Sara watched her, and for the first time, she felt her work was worthy, even if no one else ever saw it. Inside, a quiet voice finally said, "You are enough. You always were." When she returned to her workshop, it felt brighter somehow. She no longer needed to walk to the square to measure herself against others. Days turned to weeks, and people began to realize that Sara's shop was a place to find gifts no one else could create. Gifts woven from simplicity, honesty, and the kind of love that could never be compared. Moral of the story: when you compare yourself to others, you dim the light inside you. But when you finally see that your worth comes from within, not from comparison, you can truly love your life. If you decided just for today not to compare yourself to anyone, what might change inside you? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story.